Jasma, and today we're making fruit mochi. Mochi is a sticky rice cake that is very popular in Asia, especially in China, Japan, and Korea. It is a chewy and sweet dessert that is very simple to make but tastes very good. There are many different types of mochi, such as ice cream, red bean, squash, even sweet potato mochi. But today we're going to be making fruit mochi with mangoes, kiwis, and strawberries. So let's get started. For the ingredients you will need 120 grams of glutinous rice flour, 100 grams of milk, 100 grams of coconut milk, 15 grams of coconut oil, 30 grams of cornstarch, 50 grams of icing sugar, 1 mango, some strawberries, 1 kiwi, and some sweetened coconut flakes. The ingredients that we're using today are really simple, but mainly we're going to be using some glutinous flour rice. Now this is very important when it comes to making mochi. It is a sticky rice flour that keeps everything together, and this could be found in Asian supermarkets. So starting off, we're going to sift all together the dry ingredients, which are the glutinous flour rice, the cornstarch, and the icing sugar. So now just sift that all together. Add in the coconut milk. And you can see this is really thick. And also add in the milk. Then, once everything is in, grab a whisk and mix this until there are absolutely no lumps left. Once there are no more lumps left, I'm going to add in the melted coconut oil. So I'm using coconut oil today because I have coconut milk inside of this. And after the mochi is done, I'm going to be rolling it in some coconut flakes. So I want a really strong coconut flavor. But if you don't have coconut oil, you could also just substitute this with some melted butter. This mixture is done, and again, it is very important that there are no lumps inside of it, because if there are, the final mixture will not be so smooth. So now I've prepared a sort of flat bowl, and if you use a kind of a flat bowl, it is going to make it faster to cook. So I'm going to be steaming this mochi, but you could also do it in a microwave. So I'm just going to pour this in. Everything is in the bowl, so now I'm going to start to steam this. I prepared a pot with some boiling water, and I'm going to steam it until it is completely cooked. And to see if it is completely cooked, just use a chopstick, or you could also use a spoon to poke the mixture, and if there's no more liquid inside, that means it's done. I have a pot with some boiling water, and I'm just going to place the bowl in, then place the lid on. It's been cooking for 5 minutes, and I'm just going to show you what it means to not be done. So I'm going to poke this, and you can see there's liquid coming out, so we're just going to let it keep cooking. It's been about 12 minutes, so let's see if it is done. And you can see there are no more flowing liquid on the inside, so that means it's done. Let's take it out. So once I've taken the mochi out of the steaming pot, I'm going to use a spatula to scrape down the sides. You can see this is really sticky, so it's going to be a little hard to scrape it from the sides. But just clean off the bowl as clean as possible. And then I'm going to transfer it to another bowl that is nice and cool. Once it's in a clean bowl, I'm going to mix it up a little. Now grab some plastic wrap, and we're going to cover it. And the plastic wrap should be touching the actual mochi, because while it's cooling down, it's going to create steam, and it is going to have some condensation on top of the plastic wrap, and there's going to be a lot of excess water inside of the mochi, and you don't want that. So just make sure the plastic wrap is touching this. Once this is covered, we're going to set it aside for it to cool, and meanwhile, we're going to start cutting out fruit. To cut the fruit, you want to dice them into nice and big cubes. So starting off the mango. All of the fruit is ready and the mochi is completely cold now. So I prepared a cutting board. I'm just going to flip this on. And it is going to be a little sticky. I'm just going to knead it a little for it to become a little soft. Alright, I have kneaded this until it's nice and smooth on top. So now prepare a scale and a plate with pieces of plastic wrap on top so nothing sticks. And I'm using a scale to measure out the mochi. I'm going to be making 50 grams each because I want each one to be even. But if you don't really care about the size of each mochi, you could also just eyeball it. A handy tool I like to use when it comes to making mochi is using a bench scraper. But of course, if you don't have one, you could just leave this out and just use your hands. But this is a lot easier to cut the mochi with to measure it out instead of pulling it apart with your hands because it would be really sticky. And you could also just pick this up with the bench scraper in case it sticks to the cutting board. So now I'm just going to measure out 50 grams each of the mochi and going to place it onto the plate with some plastic wrap. Now roll this into a ball. It's going to make it easier to wrap up the fruits later. And then place it onto the plate. I've measured out the mochi, and this recipe makes perfectly 8 mochis, 50 grams each. These are pretty big, so if you don't want such big mochis, you can divide them into half, which is going to make 25 grams each mochis, and they're going to be a lot smaller. Prepare a bowl of cornstarch. This is going to prevent the mochi from sticking. So I'm going to sprinkle some onto the cutting board. Spread it out, and also just cover your hands with it so the mochi doesn't stick while you're working with it. Alright, now grab a piece of mochi and flatten it between your hands. You don't want to put too much cornstarch on top because that's going to stop it from sticking later on. You want the sides to be a lot flatter than the middle, so just flatten the sides. You can also pull it around a little. You want to get your mochi to be a size like this, because if it is too small, it is going to break when you put the fruit inside of it. Now take a piece of fruit, place it in the center of the mochi, pull the sides up, and just pinch it together. If you make the sides a lot thicker than the middle, then while you're pinching it together, it's going to become a lot thicker, and the top is going to be see-through, and it might break easily. So pinch it nice and tight. You don't want it to break apart. Once that is pinched, just roll it in the coconut flakes until it is completely covered. You can skip this step if you want to. This is just going to give it a lot stronger coconut flavor, and it's also going to look really pretty. If you find the coconut flakes not sticking to the mochi, that means you added too much cornstarch. Just rub a little bit of water onto the mochi. Make sure you do not add too much though. And then again, just roll it in the coconut flakes and it would stick just fine. So that's how you make fruit mochi, a very simple snack that is also chewy and sweet. Now again, you can fill this with many different types of things such as ice cream, which I will be having a video showing you how to do that. So stay tuned, thanks for watching, and see you guys next time. Bye! Then once everything is in, grab a whisk and mix this until there are absolutely no lumps left.